Welcome to the Power Your Life radio show with host and success doc Joanne White. Author, speaker, certified coach, and energy master, Doc White gets to the heart of what matters most. She features guests and experts to help you consciously create more success, health, and wellness in every area of your life, work, and relationships. They'll share their success stories, wisdom, and know-how to help you shine more light onto your day and into your life. Power your life right now. Here's Joanne White.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today on Power Your Life. And I'm Dr. Joanne White. And it's always a pleasure to connect with people that are beautiful souls and here to inspire and enrich us despite the challenges that they've gone through. And when we go through challenges, oftentimes we think, oh, how do we get through this or whatever? But there's always a way. And when we come out of them the other side, there's so much, and even throughout, there's so much learning and gifts that we may not even realize that are there. And one of those people today is a friend of mine, Debbie Payne, who is an inspirational and a motivational speaker, realtor, emotional intelligence executive coach, as well as the author of No Thanks, I'm Full. While Debbie was building her multimillion-dollar business as a RE/MAX realtor, she learned the value of connection and compassion in dealing with clients. She was born into generational trauma as well as dysfunction and chose to embrace these challenges and adversities and the gifts of resilience and perspectives that they gave her. After becoming a single parent at age 36, Debbie recognized the strength and determination that lies within all of us once we understand the why and the purpose in our lives. She believes and advances that how we communicate and our emotions really and truly affect the quality of our relationships. Debbie has helped others and still does develop their EQ, emotional intelligence skills, for more fulfilling connections in sales and also in life. Welcome, Debbie Payne. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Joanne. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you. And, you know, like we were talking a little bit before, your book, No Thanks, I'm Full, describes a lot of the challenges that you faced and have come through. So share a little bit of your life journey, and then we'll get into more about your book and what you do on your show and all sorts of good stuff.
Right. Sounds like a plan. Yes, there was 4 of us, including myself. I have 3 other siblings. And so I come from a family, a total of 6. My mother and father, back in the day, many years ago, see, the birth control wasn't, I don't know exactly when it was developed, but it wasn't available back in the, 50s, early 60s. And therefore, I believe that's probably one of the reasons my mother had 4 children because of this. And, not to say I'm not going to speak for her, whether she wanted 4 or not, but unfortunately, both my parents, in their own way, like my father was a, let's say, dysfunctional person in the sense that, he was able to work, he provided financially, and my mother, on the other hand, unfortunately suffered a lot through her own childhood, which unfortunately, she passed down to us. And, I certainly have forgiven her. I mean, I'm really glad that she had us all. But, as a child, Joanne, you don't realize how dysfunctional your household is because you don't know any different, right? You just, you only know what you know. And,
right.
Looking back, I realized that I'm the middle, definitely the middle child. The older sister, brother, then there was me, and then my younger sister. So I think we all dealt with it in our own ways. It is very traumatizing, I think, when you're not understanding why things are happening, or, why you're getting, hit over the butt with a hard stick several times due to something that has nothing to do with you. The piece of clothing was found somewhere in the wrong pile of dirty laundry. I'll give you an example of that. And, so it was very confusing to me, and I'm sure my siblings. And I, at the age of 9, my mother took a lot of courage and guts. I certainly give her that. Back in 1970, obviously things were escalating in the household. I don't remember a lot of memories of my father. I think, he really wasn't there a lot. He was a workaholic. I've come to realize later in my life that, obviously they both weren't happy, and he was, I think strained, so to speak. And, as a woman, I'm sure my mother knew the signs and felt the disconnection. And finally, I guess she had enough, money or no money, and she packed up 3 of us. My older sister decided to stay. She was able to stay here in Sarnia because the family took her in. She was 15 at the time. So, unfortunately, her and my mother's relationship was very, very turbulent. And looking back, certainly don't blame her.
Right. What happened to you?
She was the first one. What happened to me? Well, again, the 3 of us, my mother packed us all up. I just remember getting in the back of a big, huge moving van and moved us to Chatham. And we were there a couple of years living in low-income housing. Things just got progressively worse because, she had no money. Back then, support, you weren't just automatically, there was no systems in place to get support, financial support. And she reminded us that, she wasn't getting any. So, that was difficult. But then I guess deep inside of her, she realized that she was getting worse, because she was heavily medicated most of the time for depression. And back then they, when it got really bad, and I didn't realize till later on in life, but she would go to the hospital for days, Joanne, and not understanding as a child where she went or why she went. When she would come home, it would be like she was empty, but, nobody was there. And it was due to shock treatment she had received, because that's how they treated, major depression back then.
Right, so, I totally know that. I want to focus more on you moving forward with all of that because we have a lot of stuff that you are doing based on the learning that you got through that and moved on in a beautiful way. So what happened to you after?
I think she realized she was getting worse, moved us to Hamilton, and that's where my father had remarried at the time. And after a couple of years, I ended up moving in with my father because she just couldn't handle me and my younger sister anymore, the responsibility. And then at 16, I was looking for love. I found my first love and married him. And obviously that didn't last long because we were both kids. And at 17, I found myself in a lawyer's office asking for, getting legal separation. And I was out on my own.
So, Debbie, I think
that's my...
Mm-hmm. Right. Given everything that you've been through, and there, you've even had more challenges. I mean, that are some of them that are in your book. Your house that was on fire. I mean, so much that's gone on that a lot of people don't recover from so easily. But you have this incredible sense of resilience and positivity that has helped you through that. So tell us a little bit about you. I mean, I know you still are a realtor, but right? I think you still are a realtor, but you're doing so much more. You have a a show. Tell our listeners a little bit about your show, then I want to get into your book.
Sure. I started, I understood through a health crisis a year ago that happened to me, and it really jolted me into understanding and recognizing how short our time is here. And, you know, no one's guaranteed how long we're here. So I started my podcast, The Real Deal with Dad, and I really wanted, I feel that at 62, I'm at a point in my life now, Joanne, where I want to give back. I want to support women of all ages, you know, to help them zone in, you know, on their natural gifts and to live their best life by, you know, expressing and sharing lessons that we've all learned through life, through business and personally. So that's really a new passion that I have found and discovered, and I really enjoy it. And, yeah, that's kind of how the show developed, and I'm just looking forward to working on it more. And, you know, everything's a journey. Everything's a learning experience, so that's where the show came out of.
Well, and it's wonderful. I'm going to be on it someday soon, right? We talked about it.
Yes, you will. Absolutely, you will.
Thank you. So you do a lot with emotional intelligence, and you're an executive coach with that as well. Tell our listeners a little bit about what that is and how you've incorporated that into your life and how you help others with that, Debbie.
Okay, sure. Well, as we're aware, like emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, right? And also understanding the emotions of people around you. And, you know, I really believe emotional intelligence is the key to both personal and professional success. Over the years, over my 36 years as a RE/MAX agent building my business, I, you know, not even aware of it at the time, was developing my EQ skills. Because, you know, again, in any sales, in any business, I believe, Joanne, that our ability to connect, understand, and listen to others is, you know, it's so highly valued skill that, you know, it influences our business life, our personal life. So I decided, you know, and I also took online courses and studied EQ from other, you know, from professionals that you know, I've really studied it and done it for years, like Dr. Gabor Mate, who is located here in Canada, but I follow him in that, and he's really starting to make a huge impact, so I'm thankful about that. So, yes, I'm at a point again. We all go through changes, you know, through growth, through adversities, as you mentioned. We have a choice. You know, we can either stay stuck and, you know, blame others or blame circumstances of why we are the way we are, or we can take control over our life and, you know, work on, you know, what's really going to fulfill us and make us happy. And so that's really where this is kind of a new business for me, Joanne, where I'm you know, dipping my toes into now helping others understand, recognizing the value of our EQ skills.
So I think it's so important to understand that as you're talking about, Debbie. Can you give our listeners a few examples of what those skills are? I mean, you've talked about it. So is there a listing somewhere? I mean, I work with that, but I'm not that familiar with. I mean, you've studied it too. You know. So tell us a little bit about that.
You know, and I think in easy terms, Joanne. Again, it's understanding that through connection, our ability to really listen to someone. You know, we've all been there where you're talking with somebody and you can tell that they're not really listening. You know what I mean? That they're not really present, right? So, you know, when you work on your EQ skills and develop them, you understand the many different layers of emotional intelligence. Number one, as I just mentioned, our capacity to really listen and have empathy for others. In other words, people want to, I think in business and personally, when people know that you actually care and that you actually are listening and that you're there to help them solve a problem or, create less stress, whatever the case may be, everybody deals with things differently. It's empowering when you really start understanding how your emotions can affect your life and how you react with others, how you even react within yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I've really understood over the years, like something that would have really upset me 5 years ago even, no longer upsets me anymore because you start understanding that you don't sweat the small stuff, what's really important. So it's really examining your emotions and understanding others and how to communicate effectively, Joanne.
That's so important, Debbie, because we need that, and oftentimes people are they're listening, but they're not really listening. They can't wait to just get in and say something or interject rather than really hearing the person. And empathy, like you talked about, Debbie, I mean, when we have empathy for people, and it does come across, people do know that we care and that we're feeling for them, and it allows them, as you know, to open up and really feel that connection, which is beautiful. So I think what you're doing is so very, very important with EQ, emotional intelligence. Now, this book, No Thanks, I'm Full. Firstly, the title is very interesting, and I want you to share how you came up with that title, because I think I know from reading the book, but I want our listeners to know that.
Sure, no problem. Well, it's funny, Joanne, I never wanted to be an author or never even thought I had any writing ability for many years because I was focused on, I think, improving my own life, becoming, a mother as well, and when I was on my own, a single mother for many years, my priority, was different at that time, right? Providing for my child, building a business. And so that takes up a lot of your time. So at the age of 50, how this book kind of started was just me simply journaling. And at the age of 50, I lost my older sister, who I was very, very close to. She was like a mother to me, and my father, within months of each other, they passed. So it really was a turning point in my life, making me more aware and understanding of maybe some things that I hadn't dealt with yet, I mean, I dealt with a lot, and I broke the cycle of passed down generational trauma. But through writing, through journaling, I understood that there was still stuff uncovered that still needed to be uncovered. And through a friend of mine who is a local author here where I live in Canada, Ontario, Canada, I shared a little bit of my writing with her, and she encouraged me to keep writing, that I had a story to tell. So as hard as it was at times, because, you have to really, it's a memoir, and I talk about, first of all, I want to say I dedicated the book to my son, Austin, who is now a grown man. I'm 27 and thriving and doing well, and I'm so very, very happy for him. He really was the reason why I broke through the dysfunctional cycle that I had been born into. But anyway, that's a lot to do within the book. But, yeah, getting back to how it came about, so I started journaling and was encouraged to keep writing. I was still raising my son and obviously working in my real estate career. So it took me on and off 10 years to write the book. And finally, at age 60, I published it. Now, I had some reservations because a lot of it is very raw and real, and, you're putting yourself out there, be very vulnerable, right? You're feeling I felt very vulnerable. And, being in a small community where I live, there's only, 75,000 people. And I've been here many years. I've lived here most of my life. You're putting yourself out there for all to see. But then I realized, with writing the book, it helped me. It was very therapeutic. I understood and gained even more perspective on, things that I've gone through. What did I learn from them? The growth, the love, the unconditional love I talk about in my book in different ways that appeared when I needed them the most, it seems. So I think that there's always, gifts out there. We just need to be able to receive them, to be open to them, and no matter what's going on in our life. Because I think sometimes, Joanne, we get shut down when we go through tough adversities and challenges. Now, the title, No Thanks, I'm Full, was kind of the last part of the puzzle when I published the book. My first original thought for the title was, I couldn't make this SH up. And then I thought, that's not really me. I don't really, the title didn't resonate with me. So I thought, well, wait a minute. How about No Thanks, I'm Full, sharing with others that, there's a lot of us out there that just can't handle dealing or taking in any more trauma, any more feelings of, loneliness, shame, that we're not loved. You know what I mean? So that's really where that title came from, was, what? This is where it ends. This is where it ends. But all that I went through helped me become who I am today, and for that I am thankful and proud of. I'm no longer ashamed of what I had to go through to become who I am.
I think that's so very important, because we all go through things, and sometimes we think, no more. There's no possible way I can handle anymore. I'm so full with everything that went on. And sometimes that's great, but oftentimes life still moves us forward, and there may be another thing that happens. But with the resilience that you have and the fortitude of moving forward, and that's why you're helping other people, I think that we can persevere through whatever is going on and recognize that we can do it. We've done it. We can do it, and that's so very important. But I get like, no more, please, no more.
It's time to move. Sometimes, Joanne, we don't recognize just how much we've absorbed until we really, and through writing the book, I realized, like you've already mentioned, the adversities and the challenges, and what did I learn from them? How did I grow from them? How did I get to become who I am today? And I think a lot of times a lot of us carry shame from our past, like whether it's through our childhood, whether it's going through addiction problems. We're human beings, and so none of us are perfect. We've all gone through some type of trauma, I believe, whether, some deeper, some more, different times of our life, Joanne. But I think, like you've mentioned already, it's really about, making a choice and a decision and understanding this is our life. This is our life, nobody else's. So it's up to us to take back that control, take back that feeling of, wait a minute, I may have gone through some stuff and it maybe wasn't the prettiest, maybe it wasn't the healthiest, but to no fault of our own sometimes, we go through things. And I think that we need to switch our mind around at the way we look at it. Instead of feeling ashamed and unwanted and unloved and I'm not worthy, we need to embrace, wait a minute, I am who I am. And I'm becoming who I'm becoming because of myself, because I choose to. So it's a choice, I think, that we make in life, Joanne. And I know that it's not easy. I've been there. I've been really down and out like all of us. But I'm so grateful that for whatever reasons, I just find that there's so much still in life that I want to experience and live,
I totally agree with you, Debbie, and I too have been through a lot, and I'm sure many of our listeners that are tuning in and listening, they agree they've been through a lot, and sometimes it's like no more, we're full, we're right, but yeah, there's so much gratitude in being able to get through whatever challenges, and we grow from them, we get stronger from them, and also here we are. You and I are having this conversation, and I mean, that's a gift. That's a real gift, and that's important to recognize.
I'm so grateful. You're right, absolutely. And, again, I think it's so important that we got to, in our world right now, we are dealing with more stress, more uncertainty. AI, is coming into our lives in areas and ways that we never would have imagined. For me, I can just talk personally, but I think we really need to get back to the basics of connecting and helping one another. And we all have, our own gifts, and we just have to, discover them, uncover them, and then share them with others. We're all here to support one another.
I think that's really important, and I think that hopefully with AI we don't forget that and still make sure that we maintain and sustain that human connection, because, that's so vital to who we are, to our growth, to our connection, compassion, all of that stuff. It's just really important.
Absolutely, and, I'll add to that, if we start relying too much on somebody else speaking for us, building content for us, where I fear that we're going to lose not only our connection with one another, but our ability to really connect on a deeper level. I fear for, I fear for the younger generation, Joanne, because so much is done online and through texting and everything else that are we gonna lose our communication skills? Because you're right, that's really what makes us human, vulnerable, and it is a gift that through human connection, nothing else can compare to that, I feel.
Right. So hopefully it enhances. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it all, but it's here. It's happening. A lot of people are using it. The thing is that, I don't want AI to take over writing. I love writing. I've been writing since I've been a kid. And like you said, when you do it, it helps you learn, evolve, heal. Yeah. I don't want that taken away, so I'm going to write no matter what. I don't care. You know what? I still write. It's funny because I look back. I hand wrote my book. I didn't do it on the computer. I didn't, again, that's a whole different area where, people, we write differently, but I need to write pen to paper in order to really express myself. I learned that. Now, it certainly was a long way about it because, you do have to put it in computer form to get the publishing company to edit and everything. But you know what? Life is a journey. I'm still, I'm still really so grateful to be here because as we know, we've all lost loved ones along the way and some way too soon, And I think that if we can all make a difference in our own unique way, we can perhaps get back to pulling together and coming together to, really understand what's important in life, Joanne. That's really how I feel. And through whatever ways, skills that each one of us have. And I think that's so important, and I think that's really the essence of why we're here, to really connect. I mean, there's so much more about who we are and our lives, but that connection, that gift of smiles, of hugs, of laughter, of, sharing, all of that stuff is very special and very beautiful, and we need to keep that alive and growing, just like you said. So that's great. So I want our listeners to know about how to get a hold of your book, No Thanks, I'm Full, how to find out more about your podcast, The Real Deal with Deb, and how to get a hold of you. So share that.
Sure, I can. The book, No Thanks, I'm Full, can be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Prison Press. They're the ones that publish the book here in Canada. And my show currently right now is on YouTube, but in the near future I will be having it on many different platforms. But for now, it's on YouTube, The Real Deal with Deb. And I am heavily on LinkedIn, if you'd like to connect with me there. Or I'm on Instagram and a little bit on TikTok, but that's just more for fun. So that's really where you can find and reach out to me, is either through I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Beautiful. Now, what message, and I think you've had lots of messages all throughout in terms of connection and emotional intelligence and getting through all of what you've gone through and what we go through in life. What messages would you like to leave our listeners?
Well, I think, first off, and I say this because I'm at this stage of my life probably, I really want our listeners to understand, Joanne, like I'm 62 now, and, I used to think many years ago 62 was quite old, but I don't anymore, that, whether we raise our children or don't have children, we're working, we're building businesses, we're, taking care of ourselves. I really want the listeners to understand that, once we reach our senior years, we still have so much more to offer and give and explore and, understand about ourselves. Like, I didn't realize a lot of things about who, myself, gifts that I had that I, discovered and uncovered till I was after 50. And at 62, I think, you know what? I think, and there was many people, and I did a post about this the other day, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'll give you the listeners an example. Kentucky Fried Chicken. Colonel Sanders didn't start this. He opened up a Kentucky Fried Chicken at age 65. It failed, and instead of giving up, he saved his Social Security money and started franchising, and the rest is history. And there's many more people, that we've all heard of and recognize that really success and that gratification for ourselves came much later in life. So keep discovering, keep uncovering, understand that we are not, it's not over till it's over. And especially
and
women,
you know what? Go ahead,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I totally agree with you because, again, like you said, when we're younger, we think 60 or whatever is so old. Like, I'm never going to get that. I'm never going to get those lines. I'm never, I remember thinking that way. I don't think that way anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is so important. We have to recognize that at each stage of our lives, there are so many gifts. And I wrote a chapter called Creative Aging in a book years ago, and also did a presentation. And you're right, and I researched so many people like you just did who in their later years went into business, did other kinds of things, they expanded. And so what you're telling our listeners is so essential. It's not about giving up. It's just about, again, moving through and having the energy and the wherewithal to do what you need to do, live your dream, and share it. So that's a beautiful message. I love it. And you are an angel.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. And, again, I love what you do as well, but we'll get into that when I get you on my podcast. And to, everybody out there, keep living, loving, growing, and just be your unique, beautiful self. And life is just full of so much, but we need to remember that we still have, until our dying day, we still have so much to, discover and uncover. And let's just share it with one another and bring each other lots of joy and love.
That's a beautiful message, Debbie, and thank you so much for all that you do for other people and for all the gifts that you share and for the beautiful person that you are, and have a fabulous new day.
Thank you so much again for having me on, and you as well, Joanne. I appreciate you, and thank you to all the listeners for listening.
Thanks again. Take care.
Okay.
So think about what Debbie Payne said, because, again, we need to feel empowered within our lives no matter what age we're at. And not only that, we're here, as Debbie so beautifully put, to really connect with each other, to listen. Take a look at what she does with her podcast, and also in terms of EQ, emotional intelligence skills, because that's so important in terms of learning more about ourselves, how we can be better listeners, better communicators, how we can learn and contribute in our lives and our businesses and our connections, and helping ourselves, each other, and our world be better and be more beautiful. So think about that, and if you want to get a hold of me, go to docwhite.org. And remember, each and every day you have the ability to take a few steps forward into your life, a new direction. So make today a day of choice and choosing what feels good and what honors your gifts and what helps other people. And have a beautiful rest of today. Thank you for joining us.
You've been listening to the Power Your Life radio show with host and author Dr. Joanne White. Listen often and spread the word about the upbeat show to enrich you and grow your life in the direction you desire. Listen again and again, and visit docwhite.org for more information and find out how Dr. Joanne can benefit you. Thank you for sharing your day with us, and stay tuned for more exciting guests and events to come.